week. I am Olumide Shukoya, looking evergreen, ever melanin popping, in pink. I mean real pink. Is my favorite host, Sarah Owunsawansa. Good morning.
Drums
How you
roll.
doing?
You guys are supposed to roll the drums, you know. Good morning, Olumide. You look
How you
absolutely stunning in this lilac and is it purple? The combination is really nice, I must say. And you look dashing.
You too. You look very hot in pink.
Thank you. And on that note, I bid you welcome to the show today. I am Sarah Owusu, and it's Monday, the 19th day in the month of August, 2024, and I decided to grace your screens with this pink. You know, quick one. This is not what I wanted to wear to the office, but this was a gift to me from my sister. She sent it all the way down, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is just the perfect way to start my week. You know, by putting on this very beautiful dress from her. So I decided to go that route. And then, you know, when I came in, you were like, oh, you should have worn pink too. I think that would have been fantastic.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
But how was your weekend?
Not bad. Well rested, refreshing, and it's good to be here again.
Whoever said we should have just 2 days as weekend should actually be punished, because what is that? I don't think I had. My weekend was very busy. Saturday I had activities throughout. Sunday, church, came back filled with activities. And then the only good thing is I got to sleep early yesterday. So I think that made up for it.
That's one of the things I like about the weekend. Apart from going out, sleep whenever or wherever I want to. That's why I like the weekend.
But there are different sides. There are people that the weekend is the time where they have to run other personal errands that they do, where they have to spend quality time with their loved ones, work on personal projects, and more, clean the house, cook, and all of that. But it just means you have to be able to manage your time. But we're here again to give you all the juice on the Breakfast Cafe, from our banters and etiquette to newspaper review to views from the net to a very important conversation, trending stories, weather forecasts, with amazing guests. And you, a beautiful viewer, can also be a part of the conversation. This morning we'll be kicking off with our banters and etiquette segment.
Welcome. This time we will be looking at etiquette this morning, and the topic is breaking free from comparison. Now, what is breaking free from comparison? It refers to the process of liberating oneself from habit of constantly comparing oneself to others. This can include appearance, achievement, profession, social status, intelligence, talent, and success. Emphasis on success. You know, in this particular climb, it's not just us. I think it's one thing that our parents imbibed in us. When they tell you, look at your friends, see what your friends are doing. What are you doing?
Well, I wouldn't say, I beg to disagree that it was imbibed in us. I think it's just, it depends on the kind of family and parents you grew up with. You know, there are parents that will tell you, you would even be the one feeling pressured, and they'll tell you, calm down, you're doing good at what you're doing. You know, don't allow anybody put you under unnecessary pressure. Do you understand? But I think the society itself has put us in a space where we always like to compare ourselves. We tend to throw away our successes and how amazing we're doing, and want to focus on what others are doing. But we need to get to that point where we put our successes ahead of our failures, in quote, and stop putting comparisons. So, well, this person is doing better than me. You don't know what the person is also struggling with, by the way.
Yeah. I remember when I was growing up, oh boy, every other friend I had, I was being compared to. But, you know, it's glad that we are all doing well, you know, and the fears have been removed and all that. So let's move on. Comparing ourselves to others can lead to feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, emphasis on the low self-esteem, anxiety, depression, which is killing a lot of people these days, dissatisfaction, and unhappiness. Yes, majorly unhappiness, because when you start to compare, the moment you start to compare yourself with another person, that feeling of an accomplishment, unhappiness, it starts to just creep in, and all of a sudden you forget the little things you've been able to achieve. So most of the time I always try as much as possible to reflect from the beginning of the year till now. What have I been able to do? So that way I put myself on check that, oh, I've actually done this. Because when I look at other people, when you look at your neighbors, the cars they drive, I mean, my neighbor
it's
just...
what you see. Oh.
Yes.
It is what you see.
It is what you see.
You don't know what... They choose to... I always say something. People choose to show you what they want you to see. It doesn't really reflect their reality. Just like people that like to judge people based off what they probably put on their social media. It's what they want you to see they're putting out there. It doesn't really mean that that's how things are with them.
Yes. All right. So now breaking free from comparison means recognizing your worth. That's one of the ways you can actually break free, from comparison. Recognizing your worth, understanding that your value and identity come from who you are, not how you measure up to others. Basically, that's it. That's why when parents want to give their children a name, they look for something significant, something that has to do with the person's birth, and they give that person that name. So you constantly have to remind yourself your name, your family background, and every other thing, that matters. Focusing on your journey, concentrating on your personal growth, progress, and goals, rather than comparing yourself to others. I mean, I think that's one of the things, that's one of the characteristics of most successful people. They are always focused on their goal. They are always goal-driven, goal-oriented. They're always focusing on the next thing to do, the next goal to achieve. Now, embracing uniqueness, celebrating your individuality and qualities that make you different. That's why they say our DNA is different, our fingerprint is different. There's something, whether you like it or not, that will make you different from the next person. You need to look inwards
to figure that
out. To be able and work on it and try to improve it, and also improve your flaws also. Practicing self-acceptance, accepting yourself, flaws and treating yourself with kindness and compassion.
Right.
I think this has to do with your mentality. Self-love.
Knowing your worth.
Because
worth. They always say that it's hard to believe people actually love you if you do not love yourself first. A lot of people struggle with accepting who they really are. I've said this thing a couple of times on the show. When I was in secondary school, I had that problem because of how I was constantly bullied in regards to my complexion. And it made me start feeling a certain kind of way about myself. But I got to a point in my 100 level where I was able to, see a different side to this skin color and accept myself that way. So when you start to value yourself, value the services you offer, value the knowledge you've gained over time, value your experience, value your person, I value Sarah. When you're able to value Olumide as a whole, it would be able to put you in check, and you wouldn't be putting yourself under unnecessary pressure with comparing with other people.
Yes, I think one of the things that also started making me happy is when I started setting boundaries. Because I'm the person that I always like to sacrifice. When someone calls me, Alpha, let's go. So when I started, taking care of myself, I started putting myself first. I started understanding. That's why sometimes when I feel like eating anything, I just do it for myself. I don't look at, I don't have money. But those little things you do for yourself, by yourself, there's this sort of inward happiness that comes out of it. Now, lastly, letting go of envy, realizing feelings of jealousy and resentment towards others' successes. I think this happens in Nollywood movies, but it actually happens in real life.
Not only in Nollywood, though. It happens.
It happens in real life.
Real life, But
the ability to be able to celebrate other people's success when you have not gotten to where your destination. It
takes a level of love as well as self-discipline. Imagine you're pushing for something, you've not gotten that thing, but your friend has gotten it. It takes a level of love for that person.
Yes.
And discipline to be able to... In fact, I feel like when you love somebody genuinely, when the person succeeds or achieves something, even when you've not gotten that thing, you would be genuinely happy for that person, because it doesn't mean that yours wouldn't come.
Yes.
Do you understand? So we need to learn to accept people's successes, just like, okay, it's not a bad thing they are. We all want people to excel. Come on. So let's let go of that. But we need to move very swiftly. The last thing we have here is By breaking free from comparison, we can develop a more positive self-image, improve our mental health and well-being, enhance creativity and productivity, build stronger and more meaningful relationships, increase self-confidence and self-esteem, find true happiness and fulfillment. Now remember, comparison is a natural human tendency, but it's up to us to recognize its impact and make a conscious effort to break free from its limitation. That is a very safe place to land this morning. It is in your hands to break free from the limitations of comparison. And on that note, we've come to the end of the Banters and Etiquette segment for this beautiful Monday morning. We'll take a quick break. When we're back, we'll delve straight into the newspapers for today. Just stay with us.
Welcome back to the newspaper review, and this is where we're going to review all the papers on the National Daily this morning. Don't forget that you can also take part in the conversation by calling 081 2182 0154 081 2182 0154. We're streaming on YouTube and on Facebook at High Impact Studio, so you can also watch us there. Let's start off right now. Let's start off with the Punch newspaper this morning and see what the Punch has for us. Coming from the Punch newspaper this morning, we have this one: food crisis may worsen as flood hit 10 states. I know we discussed this earlier last week. I think about over 3 million people face risk, and I think about a lot of communities. We discussed this last week, and it's very worrisome. Now 10 states will be hit by this flood, this food crisis as a result of this flood. This is a major concern.
I always say something, right? We always have conversations around, okay, probably warnings being rolled out. I remember when the Lagdo Dam was going to be opened in Cameroon at the time, and the NEMA issued warnings and all of that. You would expect that when things like this happen, there should be proper strategies put in place to mitigate the effect. Now, if it's supposed to affect 10 lives, 10 households, for example, when there's been an alert way beforehand, there should be a way you can properly manage it. But most times what we see is, oh, they are issuing the alert, this is going to happen. But guess what? Nothing is done about it in most cases. And we see that preventable actions are not taken, and we fall back to whatever we're trying to avoid. So what is the essence of warnings when we cannot, what's the word now?
Take preemptive measures.
Take preemptive measures. That is supposed to be so you can put certain things in check.
Yes.
Do you understand? So that's one of the problems I usually have with conversations like this. We know that there are cases like this, but what are the measures you're putting in place to avert it? You know,
I always say this, now, okay, we are trying to deal with this flood. What about next year? So we should start even planning this year. We know that flood happens. It's been happening since days memorial, but what have we been doing over the years? What funds have gone and what have we been doing state by state? I mean, this is not just the federal government alone. I mean, state governors should also be involved in this. And I mean, I'm wondering what's going to happen to the food basket of the nation. I mean, that's Benue State. But let me take the two riders. It says, farmers grown as flood ravage farmlands in Sokoto, Kano, Kebbi, and 7 others. SEMA seeks government help as drought dry up crops in 4 states. 31 states risk flooding. While there is flooding, while there's rain, some states have not even seen rain. So, I mean, it's really concerning, though. Just beside the masthead, we have fake degrees. I beg your pardon, fake degrees. Federal government orders varsities to submit matriculation list. We've been hearing this thing. We've been hearing, and yes, NYSC delisting candidates from universities. What is really going on? Is it that these universities don't screen enough, or is it JAM, or what is really happening? These people actually wrote JAM, or they didn't write JAM, or I mean, it's confusing how they managed to spend 4 years, or maybe they didn't spend 4 years, maybe they were just giving this degree.
Well, from a first-hand information, okay, how do I put this? I know somebody, this was a couple of years back, who got an admission, you know, into a federal university in Nigeria, and she went through the whole process. Apparently someone was doing it for her, like someone was the one working the admission for her, gave her the admission letter, only for her to find out in her 300 level that there was no admission. It was not real. She had written exams. I still cannot fathom how that whole thing, and she had to start all over again. So I know there are cases like this here, but it would be best to have someone in that educational field who can bring us up to speed with the frequent conversations surrounding fake degrees. Are there going to be ways, maybe electronically, to vet admissions, to vet results? You know, what are some of the measures they are putting in place to cut down on the amount of fake admissions that we are seeing in the country? Who are these people perpetuating this act? Because there are people that will tell you, oh, I can run the admission for you. You know what? I'm in charge. Just like when you want to do something and say, okay, go through me. You don't have to come to school for anything. I'll check it for you, update your portal, this and that. There are also cases like that. So we need to understand what the educational board, is it JAM? Is it the schools involved? Is it the Ministry of Education? What are they putting in place to curb down on this?
It's really sad. I mean, when I was in school, every session, you have to physically go and do your registration from department to department, and you will end up at the exams and record. Even medicals, we do it every session. So, I mean, there were so many checks and balances that were put in place in my school to make sure that, you know, this fake admission or fake degree thing is not possible. I mean, maybe also the institution in charge of universities, I'm trying to remember the name, maybe they also need to get into this. I mean, it's really sad. But let's move on. Just above the masthead, it says NNPC battles a deepening fuel crisis and black market booms. I remember, I think the DPLC or the one of these agencies, they were in Abuja warning petrol stations to stop selling in jerry cans and all that. But can that really be eradicated? Can we actually stop it?
I was having this conversation with a couple of friends over the weekend, and by the way, we saw sulfur stations still selling in jerry cans. And the question is, what if I want to fill my generator?
Good question.
I want to run on generator. At least we are working, this is a system where we are not assured of 24 hours power supply. So I need to have power supply. I need to run my generator. Do I carry my generator to the fuel station, or how exactly am I supposed to get fuel? And let's also, on the flip side here, these fuel attendants, especially with the scarcity that started months back, charge exorbitantly.
Yes.
If you're coming to buy fuel in a jerry can.
Yes.
So there's that, yeah. But if you're asking us not to buy, my car breaks down somewhere because I don't have fuel, and I'm supposed to run to the fuel station, get fuel so I can pour it in it. How am I supposed to do that?
Yes.
So maybe they need to understand. Sometimes when I hear these things, I question, you know, some of the people at the helm of affairs. How are we supposed to put all of these things in place? If you're coming up with a rule or what have you, okay, what are the provisions you're making in that aspect?
I got a report from Ibadan. One of my family members said they're actually selling fuel mixed with water in Oyo State, and it's quite sad. I mean, so there are certain filling stations like the NNPC and some other filling stations that people believe that, oh, this particular filling station, they sell genuine fuel. So they only patronize those filling stations. I mean, it's that bad. People are actually mixing water with fuel, and it destroys the vehicle. I mean, I really hope that, and you know, the whole, in all of this, we're still expecting a refinery. Our own refinery. I mean, the Dangote is still trying to battle with the unforeseen forces, and we still have our own. We don't even know which day it's going to come up. But, well, let's just keep hoping, fingers crossed. Beside that, presidential jet, Abiodun consults federal government as Utomi tackles Amosi. Yes, over the weekend we got that stunning, quite disappointing report of how Amosi confessed that he mistakenly, I don't know how that's even possible.
I don't want to get into the details of that without guests.
Mistakenly signed, you know, a deal with dubious. They tagged a dubious Chinese firm. It's really quite sad. But maybe when we get our guest in, we'll get his own view. Beside that, federal government eyes $2 billion from local dollar bond sale. That's on page 26 of the Punch newspaper. Below that, police detectives hunt 20 varsity student abductors. Kudos to them. We hope that they are able to get these people. Beside that, Vietnam-bound businessman excretes 88 cocaine wraps. I saw the story yesterday on page 1. Yeah, now it's on the pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. How do you excrete 88 cocaine wraps? I mean, the risk people take to do these things. If one should burst in your stomach, I mean, it's lethal. It's very lethal. And so the extent that people are willing to go just to make money, it's really sad. And lastly, civil servant screening on IPPIS portal ends Friday. This is coming from the federal government, and that's all we have right now, coming from the Punch newspaper.
We move very quickly this morning to the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, and this one has to do with grains in Nigeria, and it's the main caption says, why grains importation won't happen soon by stakeholders. A couple of riders to that story. You want to take a look at it, and there's a breakdown list of food items which is covered by executive order. We have the husk, brown rice, beans, millet, grain, sorghum, maize, wheat, to mention a few. But you can get details into this conversation around grain importation on page 20, Vanguard newspaper this morning. Just above the nameplate, Serap to Akpabio and Abbas disclose monthly running cost of National Assembly. We're not leaving this conversation.
We are not. We would not. We would not leave
around
it.
We are taking 21 million naira per month. Oh no, it's not more than 1 million naira per month. I think they need to break it down. Okay, how much exactly is the basic salary per month? Okay. What other emoluments? What other remuneration? What other benefits? Is there entertainment monthly? Feeding, transportation? Sum everything up and let us know, since you're debunking 21 million naira. 2 senators have come out to actually say this is how much they take home every month.
Yes. So
why are you giving us, it's starting to feel like hanky-panky.
You know, I even watched an interview, one of the senators that was, I think it was impeached, I've forgotten the name, the one that had the sex scandal in a sex toy shop and all that. And he was saying blatantly that I think it was, that time it was earning about 20-something million, that it was too small considering the size and the cost of, running cost of his office. It was quite interesting.
Let's see how that comes out, since this is coming from Serap. Beside that, we have scarcity. NNPC blames distribution challenges as independent marketers sell at 950 naira per litre. You get details on page 22. OPIC leads Amosu Utomi Bika over contract violation. You get details on page 10. Still on the Vanguard newspaper, bad economy, drop in passenger traffic unsettles domestic airlines. That's at page 5. Read. Medical student abduction. Governor Alia, NMA, Health Ministry, Tax Security agents on rescue. Disturbing headline, I must say. It's on page 9. And minimum wage, we won't accept unauthorized recruitment into agencies. This is coming from the federal government. And lastly, okay, no, 2 more stories. Azinge emerges 14th Asagba of Asaba designates. That's on page 12. And in the world of sports page 30, CAF Champions League, Rangers and Remo Stars begin with slim wins. We have that on sports page 30 this morning, and that's a wrap on the Vanguard newspaper today.
And quickly, let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper. It has just one story. Nigerians has also been following this report, and it says no National Assembly approval for new presidential jet. I saw a report yesterday. The 150 billion naira something jet has arrived. Well, that's an allegation. So now this is, I'm guessing this is a response to that particular headline that has gone viral now. No National Assembly approval for new presidential jet. I mean, let's even solve the one that has been seized by the Chinese people. 3 presidential jets seized by some people outside Nigeria. How they got their hands on it, how the whole deal went, we're still trying to tackle it. I think let's put a pause on the new presidential jet for now. And that's all we have right now from the Daily Trust newspaper.
And lastly, we take a look at the Guardian newspaper. Not too many stories here, but the major one has to do with the fuel situation in the country. Fuel scarcity and fuel queues linger as traders await Dangote and NNPCL refineries. Do not forget that the NNPCL conversation, you know, the refinery, the date for the reopening has been postponed for the optimum time. So we look forward to when it will come to the fore. But you get detail on page 6. Account for National Assembly running costs, Sarah tells Akpabio and Abbas. I took that earlier on the Vanguard newspaper as well. Beside that, Utomi and Amosun trade words over contract violation amid calls for jets probe. That's on news page 6. And lastly, in regards to health, Mpox, Taman laments Nigeria's poor preparation for outbreak. That's on page 3. And I ask myself, do we ever put in place adequate preparation for things like this?
I always ask myself also, is there really an outbreak or the thing never went away? Because this is not the first time we're hearing an outbreak of Mpox. We've had it before. So did we actually curtail it? Did you actually eradicate it and now there's an outbreak, or it was just suppressed? Maybe the news, I mean, just like you rightly said, we never ever get to evaluate or access these preemptive measures. But well, we'll keep our fingers crossed.
Right, and on that note, we've come to the end of this particular segment where we look at the front pages of the papers. We'll take a break. We'll be coming back with our guests to analyze some of the stories on the front pages this morning. You want to stick around.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Welcome back. It's still the it's still the newspaper review on High Impact Television. Don't forget, you can also call in and take part in the discussion. Tell us if you have any input in some of the headlines we've read. The number to call is 081-2182-0154, 081-2182-0154. We're streaming on YouTube and, of course, on Facebook at High Impact Studio. One of the stories that caught my attention before we bring our guest in is this national approval for new presidential jet. I wonder why this story came up. I wonder why they made this announcement that no National Assembly approval for new presidential jet right after they've made it known to us that, oh, the former presidential jet are not working well, this, that, that even the one the vice president took had fault. So, I mean,
let's also know that this presidential jet has been acquired, right? But they are just coming out to say the National Assembly did not approve it before its procurement.
So where did they get the money?
But let's welcome,
wow.
It's glad to see that Adeniyi Ifetayo, a media analyst, is on the line to join us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Adeniyi Ifetayo. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you clearly.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right, we can hear you now. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here virtually.
Thank you. All right, just before you came in, we're talking about the conversation around the presidential jets. Let's start off with that conversation. And they've come out to say there was no approval by the National Assembly before the procurement of this new presidential jet. Recall that they had been talking about how the presidential jets were faulty and how they spent billions of naira to repair it, and there was a need for a purchase of another one. And according to reports, in late June, the federal government purchased an Airbus A330 aircraft from a German bank. Now, National Assembly is saying there was no approval. So how do we get conversations like this? I thought funds like this are supposed to go through a channel. Let's get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, normally it's supposed to be appropriated. It's supposed to be in the budget for any expenditure to be made. But it's just surprising that so much impunity we've witnessed when it comes to our common resources, that people can just wake up and just dip their hand into the treasury. I'm sure this is high time, whether both the National Assembly, who are serving as an independent or tiers of government, that they need to be asking questions. Where did they get the money from? Was it a loan? Was it approved by the National Assembly? Was it the recovered loot? Even if it's that, is that what it's meant for? So those are the questions that need to be asked. I'm sure we should get more clarity, because selling a jet now, buying a jet is not $1 million, it's not $2 million. We are talking about multi-million dollars. So it's not a small money we are talking about now. So I think if truly the legislator, they are truly independent of executive, I think it is high time the sanction, or they call whoever that is in charge or who sign off such funds, Minister of Finance, the minister in charge of the budget, Accountant General. Those are the people that should be called, to come and explain, because those funds cannot just be released, or they can't just, you can't use AI to move money from anybody's bank account. Somebody must sign off such huge amount of money and should be called to book.
Right. Talking about someone being questioned, we don't seem to have such a great history in terms of people being held accountable. Most times we hear things happen like this and nobody is held accountable, no form of major questioning. Over a while, we just see that conversation has ended. How exactly do you think this particular one will take a different turn? Because it's a big slap on our face if, as a country, our National Assembly is saying one thing, meanwhile another thing is taking place. How exactly do you think this particular conversation around the purchase of a new presidential jet will go differently in terms of holding somebody accountable?
Yeah, I think Mr. President, if he wants to show that he's a true leader, that I believe he is, it is this particular incident that I should make a bold statement about it. And you will recall that you and I, when a former minister of humanitarian, a kind of whether he made mistake to transfer some money to a personal account, and he was fired, or he was recalled or suspended. So it shows that a true leader who knows what he's doing. And if he wants Nigeria to queue behind him, going forward, I think he needs to take a firm decision on this. Whoever that is found culpable should be punished or asked to answer questions. So going forward, we lead by example, so that the Nigerians or the people that you are governing can take you seriously. So this is the high time that Mr. President should show that he's really, truly in charge. Because such funds, I don't want to say, or I don't want to make a statement that you can't release such funds to a foreign partner without the acknowledgement of the presidency. Because I know one individual in this country that wanted to build a gigantic stuff, and the presidency was calling. That's an individual, a private person. That, do you know so person is trying to purchase this? Because we look at that fund, that this fund cannot be owned by an individual. So such funds is not, like I said, is not 1 million naira or 200 million naira. We are talking about billions of naira here. So somebody should, Mr. President should stand firm, and whoever that is found culpable should face the book or the wrath of law.
All right, still in relation to the presidential jet, what's your thought on Amosun's recent statement? What do you feel? He said he mistakenly signed a deal to dubious Chinese firm. What's your thought on this?
I've said in this forum several times that most of our executive, when they have a special advisor on this, special advisor on that, they don't take the advice. In fact, they are the one giving their special advisor advice. And a tree cannot make a forest. They are there to guide you. But when you are making your appointment based on sentiment, based on family relation, based on to settle or to create political structure, not that based on competence, what is it bringing on board? These are the kind of things that we find ourselves. Because I'm sure there's a minister in charge of transportation, or there's commissioner rather, in charge of trade. There's a commissioner in charge of whatever foreign relations, who could have looked at those documents, study it or get interpreter, or even in this day, if you get a document, whether it's written in French or in Chinese, you have software that can transcribe or that can, translate it to English or to your mother tongue, as it were. So those are the things that should be called to question. Why are you a leader? You are signing something that you did not read. I know a man that, in this one, very old man, whether before he will put his hand to a pen, he will read everything. It's going to take him 1 week. And we are not talking about 20,000 naira or your personal money here that you have freedom to spend anyhow you like. But this is a government resources that is just pity. It just shows the kind of leader that we have. Of course, most of our elections are money induced. So whoever has the big cash may sometimes wins the election.
All right, thank you. Let's move your thoughts. Let's move to another conversation here. This one has to do with fake degrees. It's from the Punch newspaper. The federal government has ordered varsities to submit matriculation lists. Now, so let's do a bit of brainstorming here. How is it even possible? Because recently, the National Youth Service Corps has delisted certain graduates from their orientation camp due to fake degrees. How is it possible that someone, is it from JAM, is it from the school, that someone would seek admission in a particular university, spend 4 years to 9 years, get a degree, and eventually it will be discovered after he or she has graduated? How is it even possible?
You know, about 3 days ago, I was listening to how they even come about the cutoff mark. It was just so funny that some of these provosts, now education has come to be a competition. It has come to be about how can I get the most money, you know, from a student or whoever who is seeking an admission. And you know, there are sometimes they talk about the awaiting result, and the person will be admitted while he or she is still awaiting his or her result. And at the end of the day, maybe it's in 100 level and there's a paper that is maybe he had F9, he needed to go and write again, waiting, and because they just feel that if I settle some lecturer or few lecturer in quote, I could have my way. I had experience of someone who was in this Lagos state, who was in 300 level. I don't want to mention school, and she cannot construct a proper statement. I was wondering, how did she go to that level, 300 level? So I think going forward, what they should do, yes, we want to admit awaiting result, as long as you get your complete result before you finish 100 level. If you don't get your result, you need to step aside, you need to go and do it, then you will come back and continue from where you stop. It's done abroad, it's done in Western world, but it's just that they will say, let me just push it and we need more money. For example, I was talking about the cutoff mark, and some provosts, some VC, they said cutoff mark this year should be 150. Polytechnic, they are saying 100. College of Education 90. And the registrar of JAM was like, it's you people that are saying 40 or 90 and you want the same degree that's been awarded in Polytechnic to be compared with the university. So I was like, see, if out of 400 you are saying admissible cutoff mark should be 90, should be 140, come on, that's where we have made education we are making it to be so low that anybody can just, once you have the enough resources, you can just get into any higher institution that you want.
Right. Quite a safe place to land. But Adeni Ifetai, will be back to you in a moment. Let's take a very quick break. We'll be back to you in a moment.
Okay.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment, and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios.
Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet. Nigeria's biggest family theme park with facilities designed for friends, families, or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games, or enjoy a number of thrilling heart-racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun, just...
Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review on High Impact Television, and we're still on with Adeniyi Adetayo. Ifetayo, I beg your pardon. And now I'd like to move your attention to this particular story from the Punch newspaper, which says food crisis may worsen as flood hits 10 states. That's Sokoto, Kebbi, and 7 others. Farmers are groaning that this flood might ravage their farmland. I mean, last week also, we got the report that over 3 million people will be affected by this flood. So my question is, every year, at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the rainy season, the National Emergency Management Agency, they issue out warning alerts to different states. They tell us all the states, all the communities that may be affected by this flood. And it almost seems as if we do nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing to prevent these things. How did we get here, and what can we do? What remedy? Does this fall on the table of the federal government or the state governors?
Yeah, it's both. They have a role to play. When we are talking about food crisis all over the nation, it's not just about whether you are in Ogun State or you are in Edo State or whatever. It affects, it cut across. So it's just on a lack, on our leadership, lack of being proactive. Like they said, if you fail to plan, you have already planned to fail. So it's just the same thing. It boils down that they issue you an alert or a warning and you are not being proactive, and it happens. It's just a pity that it happens year in, year out. Is alarming, and when the things start to happen and there's an increase in the commodity, food condiment and all of that, and they begin to trade blame. So it's just a pity that something has been said, this thing is going to happen. For a sensitive leaders, what should we do? Who should you talk to? How can we avoid it? How can we avoid it? What are the other technology that can be put in place so that we make sure even if eventually happen, the impact is minimized. But it's just that until we find ourselves in a situation that flood, ravage the farmland, and we begin to say there will be increase in commodity, and we now begin to depend on import and etc., etc. And who knows, maybe some of them, they might just be sabotaging the economy. Maybe they have a farmland overseas there. They have means of bringing, import goods in, so they don't want the system to work within. Who knows? But I'm just saying. But if it's a leader that knows the way, she goes the way and shows the way. So they should be proactive. That's one of the things that I can see here that they should do as a leader, as a chief executive, whether from federal or the state level.
All right, thank you for that. Let's quickly move on to another one. This is from the Vanguard newspaper. Sarah to Akpabio and Abbas disclose monthly running costs of the National Assembly. I remember I watched an interview, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, former National Assembly member, that's Senator Elisha Abu, talking about how much he was earning, I think to the tune of, he said that his monthly salary, basic salary is 1 million. But other allowances, hardship allowances, run into about 21 million or thereabout. And he even said that that amount was not even enough considering the running cost of his office. But my question now is, why is there so much dust being raised about this? A lot of people have pointed fingers that while senators are disclosing how much they earn, the Senate President, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, have not really disclosed theirs. And there's a lot of talk about this. Let's get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, because, let me just say, because they have something to hide. Because if it is a public office and everything you do is from the public resources, that's where you are being paid. I'm not sure that there should be a hide and seek game here, but because there are so much to be desired and seen or met. And that's why all these hide and seek game have been on. You and I know that it's not today we've been saying declare your salary, what you earn. Someone will say I'm earning this, another one will say I'm earning this. But I think the National Assembly Commission should be held responsible. And this also boils down to the freedom of information, that we can approach and say, give us the salary structure of every legislator, whether you are House principal officer or just a normal member of the House of Assembly. Let's know how much they earn so that we know how much it's costing us to fund this legislature. And not only that, even all other, whether elected or appointed government official, should the same thing should be, issued to them. We want to know. Nigeria needs to know. They have the right to know. You understand. But when you are doing everything in secrecy, I'm sure one day they said the air will blow and we see the anus of chicken or whatever it is. So let's ask questions more, especially I think federal allocation that has to do with the structure or allowances of National Assembly, especially National Assembly Commission. They should be asked questions more. We want to know how much you are dishing out, how much these people are being paid, because Nigeria have the right to know, because most of us are taxpayers.
Which brings me to my next question. I know the RMAFC said that the take home is 1 million naira, but it seems as if there's more to that 1 million naira. I mean, the constituency allowance. Why can't we get that total breakdown from the RMAFC? The total breakdown: constituency project, hardship allowance, entertainment, clothing, housing. Can we get a breakdown? Is it that hard for them to just publish this breakdown for Nigerians to see?
No, it's not that hard. I'm sure some of them, don't let me, so that I will not be misquoted. A few of them, when you benefit from a system, you tend to do a kind of cover-up. If there's no cover-up, it's not a rocket science to show this how much a senator or a House of Rep member takes home. The total emolument, whether hardship allowance, whether oversight allowance, whether this or that. So, but when you feed fat in a system as well, you allow corruption to go unchecked. I'm sure there's EFCC need to look into this at least. And that's the reason why they are also being established. Their agency, when you see that the economy of a nation might be submerged or might be sabotaged, they should come into place that we want to have the record, we want to publish it. In fact, there should be a law that should be enacted to know that how much a senator or a House of Rep collect every month, so that you are from that constituency, you will know what and what your senator and what that he is doing or what is meant for. So if he's not doing it, then you can ask them questions. Sometimes something we directed to state executive or federal government, they can be answered by these people that represent, that's a senator or National Assembly member who represent each geopolitical zone or senatorial district rather, or constituency.
All right, I think this is a safe place to land. It's always a pleasure to have you share your thoughts with us.
Oh, thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
You're welcome. It's been quite a mouthful getting Adeni Ife-Tayo to share his thoughts on various topics, and just like he said, this thing is not a rocket science. It's something, but if you benefit from a particular corrupt system, you don't want to change it. But let's keep the positivity. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's hope that Nigeria will progress and we will get to where we're supposed to be. And on a safe note, this is where we'll draw the curtains on the newspaper review on High Impact Television. Stick around. We still have a lot in store for you. We'll be right back.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, "What a ride." High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Find your limits. Go go-karting. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
on High Impact Television. You have missed the newspaper review if you just joined us, but not to worry, you still have about 50 minutes to catch up with us on all the trending news that we have for you this morning. We move straight into another segment, which is called Our Views from the Net. And what we do here is we throw out a question and we get your thoughts, your contribution, your calls, and your messages. And you know, you can be a part of this. You can still do well to call us to let us know your contribution on this. 0812-182-0154 is the number to call. And the question is, what sounds like a compliment but is actually an insult? I take that again. What sounds as a compliment but is actually an insult? But before we start reading out the comments, we'll take a very quick break. We'll be back in a moment.
Derision, derision, derision.
The question, I'll take it again. What sounds like a compliment but is actually an insult? The phone line to call is 0812-182-0154 is going to be displayed on your screen in a moment. Let me start off with Olumide very quickly. What's that thing that when they tell you, it sounds like a compliment but is actually an insult?
Well, these days, most of the things, compliments you get sometimes sound like an insult. Like when they tell you, so you like food.
It's not a compliment. I don't think that is a compliment.
Well.
Right? I don't think that. But for me, one of the things that I would say sounds like a compliment, but I actually think it's an insult. Is, oh, your hair looks nice today. Okay.
But.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry. Let's quickly get into the comments. This is Jide from Lagos. And Jide says, you're so smart for someone who didn't attend college. Ouch. That statement may seem like a compliment, but it implies that intelligence is directly tied to formal education. It dismisses the idea that individuals can be self-taught, experienced, or naturally intelligent without a degree. Jide from Lagos. Quite an angle to this, I must say.
So I want to ask, when someone says you look younger than your age, is that a compliment or an insult?
Depends on how you choose to see it.
Because I'm starting to replay all the compliments I've gotten, and I'm wondering, was it actually a compliment or an insult?
You look younger than your age. That means your age is not showing on you. I think it's the other one that's actually sort of an insult. Oh, you look older than your age.
Okay.
Imagine you're 25 and someone, oh, I thought you were 35. That means you actually look older than your age.
Well, all right, this is coming from Dre. Dre from Benin says, you look great for your age. This comment reduces a person's appearance to their age, implying they are looking good, that looking good is unexpected or surprising at a certain stage in life. It perpetuates ageist stereotypes and ignores individual differences. Just like I said, you look great for your age. I'll take note of that now. So when I'm being complimented by that, I know it's more of like an insult. But these days, compliments come in form of an insult, but it's not intentional.
Well, there are some that I think you should not say. I remember one clearly. I was meeting up with a friend. We had like a girls thing, and this was somebody I met in university. But she didn't go to a private secondary school or a missionary. She went to what we call a public secondary school. And in the course of our conversation, we got talking with somebody, and while we're sharing our backgrounds and everything, and the person will say to her is, oh, you're actually sounding very sound for someone. You're actually very sound for someone that went to a public school. That is like, that's not cool, actually.
Yes.
That's might sound like a compliment, but on the flip side, it's also more of an insult.
Okay, so let's flip the coin. Let's say, for instance, there's a lady in the office who doesn't use makeup and all that, and she uses makeup, she dresses well and I'm like, oh, you're looking very beautiful today. Is that a compliment or an insult?
You're looking very beautiful today. Oh, you used the makeup today. Oh, I think it has actually changed your appearance. It actually looks great on you, by the way.
What if I want to cut all that story and just go straight?
That's you people's wala, please. But let's move on to the next comment. This is Kayode from Lekki, and Kayode says, the comment is, you are really articulate for a non-native speaker.
Wow.
This phrase implies that language proficiency is unexpected or surprising based on one's background. It overlooks the effort and dedication required to learn a new language and perpetuates biases against non-native speakers. Thank you for your thoughts, Kayode.
I mean, this is a whole lot to chew. Now, Queen from Great Yabatek says,
Able Queen.
yes, you are so confident. I'm surprised you are not arrogant. I think this might have to do with
confidence and arrogance. I don't know why they put them in the same. They are not the same.
They are not the same. Yes, they
being
are not
confident does not mean that I'm going to be arrogant. They are entirely different ball games. So, while I pride myself in my confidence, meaning I know what I know and I'm bored about it, it doesn't translate to the fact that I'm arrogant. Now, I can be arrogant and not confident.
Yes.
They are not the same thing.
Now, she says the statement links confidence to arrogance, suggesting that self-assurance is often accompanied by entitlement or superiority. It ignores the possibility of healthy confidence and self-esteem. This is Queen from Great Yabatek. Just like we rightly said, confidence and arrogance is two different things.
Right. Don't forget to call us 0812-182-0154 to tell us your own thoughts. What sounds like a compliment but is actually an insult. Sheyi from London, Sheyi says, the compliment is, you're really talented naturally. This compliment implies that abilities are solely due to innate talent rather than effort, dedication, or hard work. It overlooks the role of learning, practice, and perseverance in developing skills.
All right. Now, this one is Kike from Yabatek. She says, you try well. It might sound like a compliment, but it can actually be a subtle way of saying that someone's effort is just okay. It's like saying you did an average job. Yes. We are used to saying this. You try.
I think that you try well. There's a little tone of sarcasm in it. Imagine you do something like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you try well, Sha. You know. And on the flip side, so the person could actually be genuine and actually mean that you actually did your best. So sometimes, so I also think is the undertone, the underlying meaning we read or we pick out from these things. Sometimes people are actually being sincere But first off, it could be how it was communicated, the tone of communication, the body language. That's why they say communication is a lot of things. It's not just by the words that come out of your mouth. The eye contact, your body language, your tone, your manner of delivery, all of these things are what make up communication. So I might want to pass a compliment to you now. And the way I say it, the tone will not go down well with you, and it might come off a certain kind of way.
Also, the words you put into it. Now, if I say, you look beautiful, and if I say, you look beautiful today, two different things. So if I see someone and say, you look beautiful, and I say, oh, you look beautiful today.
So what happened yesterday, and the day before, and last week, wasn't I beautiful? So that's another thing.
Yes, all right.
But quickly, we take Yomade. This is Yomade from Aja, and Yomade says, when someone tells me you have a strong personality, this could indicate that the person comes off as too dominant or aggressive. I don't think someone telling me I have a strong personality comes off as an insult.
No, I don't take it. Someone who has a strong personality, someone who is lovable, someone who you love being around, someone who has an impact, someone whose presence is always felt in any room or any space. Yeah. That's what it is to me, and it's quite a compliment for me. This is Sheung from Lagos. It says, your cooking is quite unique. This could mean the food doesn't taste good, but in a polite way. I'm learning new things. I like that.
I also think that it depends on the relationship you have with these people that are saying these things. Because if your food doesn't taste great, I think a family member, a lover, a loved one, a close friend would be able to tell you, okay, you cook great, but today...
Remove the great.
Today, something went off, you know, it's quite spicy or it's not well cooked. If you have to start putting all this English together, your cooking is quite unique just because you feel someone, that means you don't have for example, I won't walk up to someone I don't have a good relationship with and say, the food you made today, she means small. I'll put my words together and all of that. So that it also depends on the relationship you have with whomever is passing this compliment.
Wow, that's a good one there.
This is Esther. Esther from Lagos says, you are fine today, oh. Just like when someone says you look good today, it's the same thing, or you dressed nice today. You are fine today, oh. And she says, normally, am I not fine? Because putting the today, but I think we need to tell ourselves the truth. There are days where you look exceptional.
Yes.
Let's be real. There are days where you come to the office and you're not really in the mood. So you throw on whatever you find, just comb your hair. You don't put in so much effort. But there are days where you wake up and you're like, okay, no, today I don't really have any activity, but I'm going to, you know,
put an effort.
And when people see you, it's okay to, you actually look extremely great today. You look different today. Because it's not the person they're used to seeing on a normal day. So I think we also need to learn to take some compliments as compliments and not as insults.
All right, this is Imole from Badagry. It says, you look great for your age. Excuse me, are you implying that I look good despite being old? Must you put the age? I think you look great for your age. It is a compliment.
Actually,
because maybe that person has seen people of your age that don't look good and seeing you looking good, like, you look great for your age. That means you don't age at all. That's how I see it. Right.
But like I said earlier, it's different from the fact that someone probably feels you're 35 when you're probably just 20, 25. And that would imply you probably look... Now, there are different ways to it. It could be intellectually. The person's probably measuring you intellectually based off what you say, the kind of conversations you have, you know, your intellectual level. The person could be measuring you based off your maturity level. You might be 25 and the person like, oh, I think you're 35 because of the kind of things you think, the way you speak, your maturity level. It could also mean that you look older than your age.
Yes.
Oh, you're 25. Oh, I could have passed for a 35 because you actually look. It could also be physical structure. You could have the physical structure of somebody that is 35. Meanwhile, you're just 25. So all of these things come in different angles. So if someone tells me, "Oh, could pass you for an example, a 35-year-old person, and I know I'm not 35 yet. Now I need to understand the angle the person is coming from. Are you talking about intellectually? Are you talking about my level of experience? Are you talking about my maturity? Are you talking about my face or my physical structure?
Or exposure.
So you need to understand the context before you take it as, because if someone looks at me and says, oh, you could pass to me like a 35-year-old person, and I know I'm not 35, and the person goes on to say, based off the kind of things you say, how you speak, that is a compliment.
There you
Do you understand? But if it's coming from, oh, your face, you look old, you don't, then you can now probably take that as an insult. So we need to be able to filter it. This last comment is Femi from Lekki, and Femi says, when I'm being told I am fine, it's actually an insult to me.
Yes, because Femi are always fine.
And you need to always run away from them, because I saw a meme on social media over the weekend, I think just to cruise around. Someone put Rodo, this, is it habanero pepper or what have you, in a bowl, and she was like, this is how much she bought. Okay, but we have a caller. Hello, Kemi, good morning. Hello?
Kemi, are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Can you please turn down the volume of your TV set or whatever gadget you're using to listen to us, so we can have a smooth conversation? All right, thank you for joining us, Kemi.
Okay. One certain time, I guess we're in a workplace, and this woman always wears Ankara to work. So that day, the woman wore like a chest piece, and someone now said that, Mama, is this you? You have changed your wardrobe too.
Oh boy.
And I was like, is this supposed to be an insult or a compliment? Because to me, that's an insult.
Thank you for your thoughts, Kemi. Thank you for sharing that with us. People also need to learn how to present things.
This is cracking me up.
Madam, you have changed your word.
That's below the belt for me.
Like, you should be able to, you actually, this is the first time I'm actually seeing you in something different, and it looks nice on you, by the way. You know, you are communicating the same thing, sort of, but your choice of words is more intentional, and you have changed your wardrobe. For instance, I saw a difference in Olumide last week. It was so prominent. I don't know if a couple of people noticed. And I was like, Olumide, what's going on? You know, I will talk. But it also depends on how you put it out there, you know. Just be intentional about your choice of words and how you communicate the message. But looking at our time, we have run out of time on this segment. Thank you so much for joining us. You want to look out for our question of the day again tomorrow. Do not forget that the Breakfast Cafe continues right after this break.
Abrogate. Abrogate. Abrogate.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is the Breakfast Cafe, and right about now we're going into some topical issues this morning. The topic for today's discussion is regional economic governance. Now, regional economic governance involves the coordination and regulation of economic activities within specific regions to promote economic growth, stability, and cooperation among member countries. Strengthening institutions and frameworks for effective regional economic governance is crucial for ensuring that policies, regulations, and agreements are implemented efficiently, that member states adhere to established guidelines, enhancing institutions such as regional economic organizations, regulatory bodies, and dispute resolution mechanisms. Countries can better manage economic issues collectively. Establishing clear frameworks for decision-making, trade agreements, investment policies, and harmonizing regulations can facilitate smoother economic interactions and promote regional development. Now, regional economic governance requires strong leadership, transparency, accountability, and the ability to adapt to changing economic conditions. By fostering cooperations, addressing disparities, and promoting sustainable development, regional economic governance can also help countries in a region, leverage their collective strength and, of course, mutual benefit and shared prosperity. It's quite an interesting topic today. Before we bring our guest in, regional economic governance is a very important thing that all countries need to take note. I remember just like this whole Chinese and Nigeria season. Brouhaha. I mean, I was asking our guest the other day that what would this mean for individuals, entrepreneurs who on a daily basis, they travel to China, they travel to these countries.
Talking about our bilateral relations.
Yes, bilateral. How would it affect? Because certain things might create a bad image for us. And even as much as, I don't know how far we've gone with the whole bilateral relations with United Arab Emirates. I'm hoping that very soon Nigerians they've lifted the ban. Okay, yes.
But away from lifting the ban, did you see what it's going to cost you to
I saw that.
a visa to travel to the UAE?
Is that sound like a punishment?
And the conditions that are attached to it. Trust me, a lot of people would rather just stay where they are. Stay put, except it's for concrete business purposes.
Well, I just hope that this would serve as also a deterrent to Nigerians that, certain things, when you do certain things, it costs not just you, but the entire country a lot of things.
And then even those at the helm of affairs need to take note of that. But on that note, let's welcome our guest in person of Folusho Olakwo to, dissect this conversation with us this morning. Thank you so much for joining us, Folusho Olakwo, this morning. We can hear you. Are you there?
How are you today? I'm sorry my voice might not be too clear. I had cold. I'm very sorry about that.
Oh, so sorry about that.
Yes. Good morning, Nigerians.
Thank you for joining us regardless. Thank you. This morning we're talking about regional economic governance, strengthening institutions and frameworks for effective regional economic governance. We've given a brief introduction to that, but let's kick off with the first question. Now, when we talk about this, what are the key institutional and framework challenges that hinder effective regional economic governance, and how can they be addressed, to promote economic growth and development in regions?
Thank you very much. First of all, we need to understand one thing. When it comes to a country, every country has its own, quote, national ideology. And national ideology is what Nigeria believes, what anybody can run with, what anybody in the street knows that this is Nigeria and this is what we stand for. Even one of them is that Africa is the center point of Nigerian foreign policy, irrespective of the fact that even these Africans that we made the center of our policies, they disrespect us all the time. They made us feel as if we are nothing and all that. But if we do not have an ideology, if you do not have a policy, there's nothing regional integration will stand on. Unfortunately, Nigeria doesn't have. Because if I asked anybody on the street today, what is our national ideology? What is Nigeria known for? What is that special thing that Nigeria will not just give to get another thing? Something that is the center of Nigeria. And that is why most of the time, because successive government just want to do things and want to feel they are doing some things. So they can even enter into agreements that are, anti even Nigerian laws, for instance. For instance, let's take the Samoa Agreement.
Yeah.
It took a lot of effort before the federal government was able to convince us, maybe whether that is if we are convinced that the LGBT,
conversation
was not in that agreement. But of course, we know Nigerian government, they may not even, a white man said, if you want to cheat on Africa, just put it on paper. They don't read, they just sign. So some people began to now say they know that Samoa is an LGBT compliant state. And of course, ordinarily, we should not have anything to do with them. But in this instance, because we needed money, we even forgo even our law that specifically prohibits such arrangements. And that is the effect of not having a national ideology. If we have a national ideology, first we will know the type of regions or countries that we have an agreement with. We know the type of agreement or the type of thing we want to do. We know our worth. As in, if we are going into this agreement or anything with this country, what is in it for us as a country? It's not just that because every country is joining BRIC, Nigeria will join. Not just because of everybody is joining United Nations organizations, Nigeria will join. No. You have to first think of the implication to your national ideology, the implication to your country, and the implication to your country people. Because whatever agreement you are signing, you are not signing it for yourself, you are signing it on behalf of the people of that country. So before anything, we have to have a national ideology. And that is why most of the time, even after we've not signed the agreement, we just decided to do anything we like with it. Like this social this thing that you referred to now. Because government in Nigeria do not like continuation, especially if it's not from there. If it's not started from there by them. So they will just, by way of hand, just stop an agreement, just I don't know what they do. And at the end of the day, you see us, paying a whole lot of damage, billions or millions of dollars. You remember now the PLG, I've forgotten the name now. That, if not for that, the vice president then, who was able to identify some fraud, even in that agreement, we would have paid a whole lot of millions of dollars to PID, or what is the name now. So our country first, what I'm saying in essence is that before even the integration in the first place, before joining another person in an agreement, you have to look at you as a person. It's like entering into a marriage. If you want to enter into a marriage, you don't just go, fall in love with anybody. Everybody cannot be your wife. You have to look at some things, whether you are compatible with this person or not. So if you are compatible, now you can just begin to study each other and see if at the end of the day, both of you might marry. So, but most of the time, Nigerians don't do that.
All right, sorry to cut you short. Earlier on, Sarah and I were discussing about the Chinese brouhaha with Nigeria and all that, how it's affecting other businesses. So, which brings us to my next question: how can regional economic institutions and frameworks be strengthened to better support small and medium-sized enterprises? And of course, what role can they also play in promoting regional economic development? I beg your pardon.
Okay, the first thing we have to know is this: that whatever treaty, protocol, or agreement or MOU we may have, signed with another country, it has to go through the National Assembly for the federal and the National Assembly to permit such an agreement. So, but most of the time you see that it doesn't even go that way. Our laws, the Constitution says you cannot, that a treaty is not enforceable in Nigeria except and until it is passed as a law in Nigeria. So that is to caution even every government before signing an agreement. So if the agreement passed through the National Assembly, then we have to stand by that agreement. Agreement is simple. Because of the fickleness of man's mind, we may forget many things. We may not even want to do what we said we wanted to do. And that is why it is put in writing, so that at least we can reverse and check what we agreed on in the first place. So each party, whether Nigerian government or the other government will sign an agreement with, must, because that is why it's signed, sealed, and delivered. So because it is a seal, it's like a solemn oath that you are going to stand by your word. So before everybody could, enjoy the benefit of such an agreement, it has both countries have to stick by it. For instance, when they announced that the Qatari government now, lifted the ban on visa application. Yes, people were happy, and nothing was said from the side of the Qatari government, and it has to take several months before the eventual, lifting of the ban. And even after the lifting of the ban, there was also a condition that, wow, it's like we are traveling to heaven. So such things should not be there if Nigeria had actually stood by their words. Because we are known to be flippant, and other countries would like to, suck us dry even from there.
Let me interrupt
because
you.
As a country.
Sorry, because of our time, let me just interrupt you for a bit. You were talking about other countries that might want to take advantage, of us because we're very flippant in your words. I would like to connect this to the term globalization. We are in a phase where globalization is a big deal. So let's talk about the impact of this globalization on regional economic governance and how these regions can swiftly navigate global economic trends while maintaining their unique economic identities.
Thank you very much, Sarah. You see, it's like it's been said today that the world is a global village. US is like a tap of the hand from you. You have somebody in US, you can just pick your phone and call and you talk. And tell people, I'm on abroad, so it's just like that. So, and it's like that to every nation. For instance, let's start from ourselves. I dealt with us first because before we can have integration, one that stands, you have to put your house in order. Like I said, you have to have a vision of what you want to do. Now, we see. Okay, for instance, I wanted to start that instance when the Nigerian government begin to, demarket Dangote refinery. You see, I've said it in several platforms that decision or what they were doing is like a two-edged sword. Of course, they might be down, demarketing Dangote, but they're actually demarketing their own economy too. Because, like it is said in Gods Are Not to Blame, Molarity, he said, if crocodiles will eat their own eggs, what would they not do to the flesh of a frog? So if we can demarket our own citizens that puts everything in it to set up an industry in our soil, and we are demarketing it. So what happens to those people that are coming in to want to invest in Nigeria? So they won't come because they have seen the way you treated your own people. So first we have to have this, we have to understand the fact that the world doesn't revolve around us. And whatever we said we want to do, we must do it. Not just to sign an agreement, you must sign it with the purpose of fulfilling the terms of that agreement. So globalization today makes everybody to see everything. The whole world knew what happened between Dangote and federal government. The whole world knew if probably they come to set up business in Nigeria, they may not have a gain of it. Look at the trapped funds. Thank God for this administration that were able to lift us, settle those ones. But if you are in a country that you cannot, repatriate your fund after several years of working, then to that extent, does that country, do you think anybody will touch that country with a long pole?
Right.
No.
That's something to look out for. But in less than 1 minute, because of our time, we cannot, expatiate on all of the questions. Talking about human development now, what is the role of regional governance in promoting human development and well-being? Let's quickly touch on that in less than 1 minute. Summary.
You say it would have been the best. For instance, take ECOWAS. ECOWAS is a regional government that is West African based. And the protocol states that a Nigerian or an ECOWAS citizen might travel to any other ECOWAS country, without even visa. So that is to tell you that at least you have the freedom of movement within these places, and eventually for you to transact businesses in those places. Remember the African Continental Trade Agreement. These are supposed to, bring Africans together as one market. But if we have all that, for instance, majority of the technical department of Dangote are foreigners. Where Nigeria ought to have been, because we did not, our educational, this thing was very bad. Most of the universities teach all this 18th century, 15th century something. I can remember when I was in '3 in the university, they were teaching us COBOL, Fortran, and all that. When computer has gone past all that, so and for one day we cannot even use it because it is no more involved. So our country needs the human capital more than to develop the human capital more than anything. If we are going to enjoy whether the ECOWAS protocol or the AFTA, the African Free Trade Zone, our Continental Trade Agreement, if we are going to enjoy both, then we have to come back to ourselves and see how we can develop ourselves, even to the extent to which even other countries will be coming to Nigeria for their human capital needs, and not us trying to invite them and making them to take over the economy of Nigeria. And that is why, because we are not doing the needful, that is why other countries, even countries that are not up to a local government in Nigeria, will be messing us up because we are not doing the needful. So for us to enjoy the globalization and trade within the whole world, regions, the world and everything, we have to ensure that our human capital is well developed.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Folusha Olapo. So unfortunate that we could not, take up all of the questions, but we'll definitely do well to have you some other time. And thank you for joining us, regardless of, how you feel this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite, Sarah and Olumide.
Please do take care of yourself.
And get well.
I will, at least for you, so that you can grab me again one day.
Right. Well, get well soon.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
All right. A couple of questions on my mind, follow-up questions, but I believe that we'll definitely have him again. This conversation about globalization, utilizing it effectively to our own advantage in terms of regional economic development. And he said something that other clients might want to take advantage of us if we are just so quick to jump at everything without having proper details, understanding what we're doing, what we're getting ourselves into. You know, they say sometimes medicine after death. You've gotten yourself into it, you're now realizing certain things that you should have paid attention to. One
other thing about globalization, for us to be able to embrace globalization, we also have to be up and running. We have to be, I mean, I've said this at times or number. When I was in my youth service, I met a girl who studied computer science and never operated a computer. That's the world we live in. So how would you even be able to interact with other business people outside the country when we have a slow network? When we have this and we have that, it's a whole lot. But I think this is where we will draw the curtains for this segment. Stay tuned. We still have Trending. It's coming up shortly.
How do you do it? Trailer where? Lagos. Lagos. Yeah. Okay. On the Monday 12th of August 2024, you were arrested at the boarding gate of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja.
Yes.
What happened? Where were you traveling to?
Traveling to Vietnam.
To Vietnam. To do what? You issued permission to Vietnam?
Yeah. Vietnam.
To do what?
To deliver something to someone.
For somebody?
Yeah.
Okay. What exactly? Yeah, you were intercepted by military officers.
Yeah.
You were taken for scanning.
Yeah.
And the scanning showed positive for drugs.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yeah.
What kind of drugs is it?
They say it's cocaine.
It's cocaine. How many pellets have you swallowed?
88.
88 pellets. How much do you pay you?
They said they'll give me $2,000.
$2,000. Okay. And who gave you the drugs?
Some government by Emeka.
Emeka? Where? At where?
At Lagos.
At Lagos. Where in Lagos?
So outside, there was a place we used to meet, but the place he handed over to me.
Okay. Yeah, count it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Quite a disturbing and concerning one there, but this is a businessman. We took that story on the Punch newspaper as well this morning, who escorts 88 wraps of cocaine, and NDLEA intercepts drugs as well, which was wrapped in noodles at Lagos Airport. This conversation around drug trafficking, drug smuggling, you know, and this is a Vietnam-bound businessman, Paul Mbaduga, who has been arrested by operatives of the Nigerian National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, you know, after he tested positive to ingestion of cocaine. Now, the 54-year-old suspect was intercepted at the boarding gate of the Abuja airport during the outward clearance to Hanoi, Vietnam, via Doha. The spokesperson of the Anti-Narcotics Agency, in person of Femi Baba Femi, in a statement said after 4 days under excursion observation, he ingressed a total of 88 wraps of cocaine with a gross weight of 1.71 kilograms. Very disturbing, and it's showing the frequency of this drug trafficking in recent times, and people sometimes do not understand the implication of this. You know, you were just telling me, I was wondering if that actually came out of someone's body. He actually ingested all of that. It's it was even making this sound on the table.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that the NDLEA is putting in efforts to, you know, get these people. Almost every week now we get reports of NDLEA apprehending drug smugglers, drug traffickers and all of that. More attention needs to be paid in this regard. People are being used to smuggle these drugs outside the country and even into the country with promise of paying them huge amounts of money. They should be able to. He mentioned where he got the drug from, who he collected it from. I think he mentioned one Mr. Emeka, where they met up. I think that will open up a channel of investigation into the source of this.
It's the confidence, the boldness that you can actually inhale or swallow up 88 without the fear of, if just one should burst in your belly, it is lethal. It's almost instant death. And to see how people are willing to go, the extent people are willing to go for this get rich quick scheme or sham or whatever you might call it, it's quite disturbing. And just like you rightly said, we need to get to the bottom of this to know who and who is going. Is there some sort of like a drug kingpin or a cartel going on in this country? We need to get to the root of this. I'm
sure that we definitely would, and investigation would continue as the NDLEA continues to hit down on these drug traffickers. But that's it on the trending segment. Let's leave you with our weather forecast.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that is why we always serve you with undiluted, phenomenal entertainment. And on this note, we'll say thank you very much. This is where we'll draw the curtains. It takes a whole village to get the show up and running. So a big shout out to our producers, directors, the technical crew, the audio engineers, and everyone. But the bigger thank you is to you. You tuning in. Join us tomorrow, same time, same station, yeah? I am Olumide Shokoya.
And do not forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms at High Impact Studios, High Impact TV, and the Breakfast Cafe _. We are streaming live on Twitter, which is now X, on YouTube, as well as Facebook at High Impact Studios. Do well to connect with us. I am Sarah Owusu, and so until I grace your screens again, ensure to have yourself a fantastic Monday and start of the week. Bye-bye.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, "What a ride." High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Belite, Belite, Belite.
Secure the future, the future is now. We know they play. Secure the future, the future is now. We know they play. I am back we there for you, we know they play. Through the years we there for you, we know they play. I am back we did. High impact we did. Call your friends now, and your family now. Turn your radio on, and your TV set on.
High Impact Studios, the future.